Souvenirs are stupid, and it seems like everybody and their moms absolutely hate them. Out of all the new cosmetic things they've added to Overwatch 2, souvenirs seem to clearly be the most pointless out of everything. Weapon charms get a pass because, you know, it's a first-person shooter game. Almost all of them have weapon charms in some way, shape, or form. Some of the heroes just don't work well with them, and it could still use a little bit of work, but it's harmless enough and it's fun, and it actually makes sense to have in a first-person shooter game. Souvenirs are just kind of pointless. They basically just exist to be filler content. Stuff that they can throw into bundles to artificially inflate the price and make people spend more on them to make them think they're getting a good deal because they just throw in a couple souvenirs, arbitrarily say they're worth $5, and then remove $4.50 from the price tag of the bundle so that it looks like a good deal. And also just to provide filler content for the battle pass. And it's not even like it has to be this way. There's interesting things that you could do with souvenirs that would actually give them a little bit of value, but it's already been over a year since Overwatch 2 has come out, and they're still just as trash as they've always been. Weapon charms actually got a major upgrade in the form of having a favorites list, and then being able to select random from favorites so that you can get a random weapon charm every time. That small addition basically redeemed weapon charms for me, because before it was like, oh, I just find the one that I like, and then I never touch them unless there's one that I like more that I can equip onto all of my characters. Since there's already 100 goddamn weapon charms in the game, there's no way I'm manually going to go and swap between weapon charms, especially when it's such a minor thing. But having random from favorites really just changes up how weapon charms feel, so it's a little bit more fun to just see a different weapon charm every time. It doesn't get old. You can just pick the ones you like and then have it randomly go between them. And then of course it makes getting new ones fun, because if there's any that you even remotely like at all, then you can just add it into your favorites and it'll randomly be given to you every now and then. Souvenirs just kind of need a rework like that to make them more fun and engaging as cosmetic options instead of just complete trash that is just filler content and that basically nobody ever uses. Especially since weapon charms were their own thing. Meanwhile, equipping a souvenir takes up a slot in your emote wheel, meaning even though there's already, you know, 100 souvenirs in the game, you could only ever equip 4 at a time. And even then, why would you even ever consider equipping a souvenir when you have emotes that are infinitely more interesting and fun to use? I swear the only times I've ever seen people use a souvenir is just to have a bootleg emote for a character that they don't have an existing emote for. Like, you know, some of the new heroes, or if they're new to the game and just don't have, you know, 4 emotes unlocked, they'll just throw in a souvenir because they just kind of have a goofy, silly little animation. Some of them are funnier than others, but they're pretty nice when you actually look at them. It just sucks that nobody uses them because they just don't beat out the standard emotes and how cool or interesting they are. So to fix the souvenirs, Blizzard would basically have to do one of two things. They'd have to make them more interesting and actually make people want to equip them and show them off, or make them more fun to use. Possibly both, because it's not like they can only do one or the other, but in terms of making them more interesting, they could make them actually feel like souvenirs. Give them out for achievements. Hero Mastery would have been a great way to introduce souvenirs that were actually rare or interesting, because currently they're just, you know, Battle Pass filler content, or Overwatch Store Bundle filler content. Not really anything interesting that you would want to show off as a souvenir should be. But I mean, this is kind of already dead territory because they've added nearly 100 souvenirs to the game already. So trying to make them something that's rare or something that's, you know, a sign of a skilled player, it's kind of a bit too late for that, but still something that they could do. Just give them to people for doing hard achievements. Make them something that people would actually consider swapping out an emote for if they did something cool. Hero progression would have been a great way to do this because they already give you, you know, a title, a name card. I think they give you a profile picture as well. Just give people a little tiny golden Zenyatta, or like a diamond Zenyatta, or, you know, a platinum Mercy, a bronze Lucio. I don't care, just give people a cool little figure of a character with an appropriate rarity scale with it. The higher up you get in progression, the more expensive the figure is. I mean, expensive is a bad word, but I just mean like, oh, it starts with bronze, then it goes to, you know, platinum, diamond. I don't know what a master's Zenyatta statue would look like, but just like roll with it. Make it something that people would actually be interested in showing off for their favorite characters, being like, yeah, I'm a level 1000 Mercy main. Or you could have a Roadhog, just pull out a little tiny platinum Roadhog and be like, yeah, I play Roadhog. I play like a lot of Roadhog. Way more Roadhog than a normal functional human being should ever play in their life. I should probably be on a list. You know, something like that. Something that players could earn and it would actually feel cool to present them in a game as a mark of your skill or your devotion towards a certain character. The other route would just be to make them more fun to use. I am not going to equip a singular use souvenir that will just give me the same thing every time when I have like 9 different emotes, like the dance one. They're giving a lot of different characters walking emotes as well, which are pretty fun and goofy to use sometimes. I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen this video. This is actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
We've made the first step. Now let's go for victory.
I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going in. Thank you. I'm going in. Going.
This will cut the pain.
But one of the easier ways that they could do this is just to add in a random from favorites option, but for souvenirs. Just, you're able to select as many souvenirs as you want and favorite them. You just equip that to one of your emote slots. Whenever you do the souvenir, you'll get a random one every time you use it. This just makes it a little bit more fun because you'll actually get something different every time. And if you wanted to, you could theme them towards, you know, whatever the character you're playing as. You could have Roadhog, and we all know that Roadhog lore is he secretly loves Pachimari. You could just favorite only all of the different Pachimari souvenirs, and then you just have an emote that gives you a different random Pachimari every time. That would just be kind of fun to use. And again, you could do whatever you wanted with the favorite system. You could favorite souvenirs of a certain type, just favorite ones that you like, and then just have it take up only one spot on your emote wheel to equip this one souvenir that now has a little bit of excitement to it. One of the funnier souvenirs to use was the pizza one, because all of the animations just kind of have a build up to whatever the souvenir is going to be, and then to just pull out a fucking slice of pizza is absolutely hilarious. Now, if you were able to get a random one, even you don't know what it is, the build up could kind of be exciting sometimes. You could just see what you get. If you really wanted to, if they were to add, you know, little figures of heroes to the games that you could equip as souvenirs, you could just equip all of those and then just have a souvenir that gives you a random character. And then whenever you die, you have to switch to that character. So you can basically play mystery heroes all by yourself. There's also just plenty of goofy things that you could do with a group of friends if they were to have, you know, randomized souvenirs. Like you could have 3 people line up and just have, you know, a bootleg slot machine. That could be pretty funny and goofy to do. They all just have the same souvenir selected randomly, and then they just stand next to each other and use the emote. Try and get 3 in a row. But the one thing that would be really easy and actually a very cool use for souvenirs would be to just make the souvenir be a victory pose. It would require a little bit more effort because you would have to give a lot of characters a different animation, but like it shouldn't be that hard to do, especially if you have, you know, time to do it. It's not like this has to be done immediately. Just at some point, I would like to see souvenirs get an overhaul to actually be something that's fun to use. But every hero would just have a very basic victory pose where they, you know, sew off the thing in their hand, and you just make it all the same exact length, so that if you were to have multiple heroes with that victory pose equipped, they would all reveal their souvenir at exactly the same time. And I say you'd have to redo some of them just because some of them are kind of wacky. The one for Ass, she just fires her gun into the air and then holds out her hand, and then the souvenir just falls out of the sky into her hand. If you try and reduce the length of that down to a second, it would just be she is already holding her hand up and it just falls from the sky, which kind of wouldn't have the build up as other characters that kind of just like move their hand and it's just there. I don't know. But this way you could actually, you know, have something be sewn off at the end of the game. Same, you could put it like an achievement that you're proud of if they, you know, actually gave souvenirs for completing difficult challenges in the game instead of just having it be filler content. But also, if you ever have friends, I know, easier said than done, there's a lot of really cute things you could do if you all equip the same souvenir as your victory pose and you win a game as a 5-stack. Like, imagine this being the victory screen. That is just incredibly cute and wholesome. I really like it. This is just a really bad mock-up I made, but like, you get the idea. If you wanted to, you could have, different things equipped. You could do, the heart instead of the good game. Or if you wanted to be extremely toxic, then you could use the salt. This would just be a really fun way to use souvenirs and just make them a lot more interesting. And again, you could also have it still have the random souvenir from favorites option. So if you are playing alone, you could just, have a different souvenir every time on your victory screen. Maybe one time it'll be beer, another time it'll be like pizza. I don't know. But just having it be a victory pose would be a lot more interesting than having it be an emote, because a lot of the victory poses are kind of very basic, and they do make moving victory poses. They have victory poses that are epic rarity, that have movement to them, that are not just a static pose, and they do classify souvenirs as being an epic, so it would make sense if they allowed a victory pose utilizing them to feature a lot more movement in them. But I mean, it's just a cute idea. And even with other souvenirs, there's just cute little fun things you could do. Like, you could just have one person equip the robot brain, then have 2 more people equip the robot hands, and then I'm sure there's a robot feet souvenir somewhere in the massive list of souvenirs. And then at the end of the game, you all just summon fucking robot Exodia. I don't know, just have fun with it and do goofy things. It's not like any of these ideas make souvenirs absolutely insane, but it just makes them a lot more interesting than the waste of space that they currently are right now. Then the last change I saw, which is not mine, it's something I saw when looking at Overwatch Reddit things on souvenirs to see if people also hated them. Because I don't know, maybe I'm the insane person for not liking souvenirs, and that the Overwatch community has like a secret obsession with them and thinks they're the greatest thing ever. But no, all of the Reddit threads I saw, people did not like them. But I did come by one idea posted a couple months ago about yet another thing that they could do to make souvenirs interesting, and that was that souvenirs could actually be placed on the ground and then be an interactable object. Similar to, the Ana emote has a volleyball that you can then, punch around and do whatever with. It's not like it's something new for an emote to be able to spawn an interactable object with it. And if they did that with souvenirs, again, it would just be a really fun and goofy thing. Just be Reinhardt and summon a beer mug and then hit it around with your hammer. I don't know, just something fun and goofy. If after using the souvenir emote, that instead of the souvenir just vanishing into the air, it just drops onto the ground and then you can just hit it around for a few seconds until it disappears. I don't know, just something fun and goofy. And of course, if you really wanted to, you could even make the time limit like 30 seconds or a minute, limit the amount of souvenirs that could be spawned at a time. Maybe any other restrictions that you have to in order to make them not interfere with regular gameplay. But yeah, just a fun new thing. There was another comment that had another idea, that you could have your souvenir temporarily pop out of an enemy's body when you kill them and act like a physics object. Like, say you have the heart equipped and you get the final blow on someone, a little heart will just fall next to them where their body is. And again, just be a little physics object that doesn't interfere with gameplay. I feel like this one would be a bit harder to implement just because it means adding even more visual clutter to Overwatch, a game that already has a lot of visual clutter at times. But if that's actually a problem, they could always just have an option to turn it off, or they could just disable it in competitive game modes and just have it be a thing for quick play and arcade. But yeah, like they said, imagine getting one-tapped by Widow or Hanzo, and then just having something drop out of your body, like a gnome. I feel like the garden gnome is kind of the funniest emote, but it's just goofy and funny. Just another cool idea from this thread to actually make the emotes feel more fun and actually engaging to use. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with souvenirs, and I hope they do get some kind of overhaul soon that makes them actually feel like a thing in the game, and not just filler content that doesn't do anything. Like, heck, maybe even just give you the ability to put them around the practice range and like make your own little decorated practice range or something goofy like that. I don't know. Just something for fun. Just make them fun. Make them do something in the game, please. Goodbye.